All right, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. Happy Wednesday. Ruben looked a little shocked that we were live.
Oh, here we go. I'm waiting to see where you tag so that way I could share it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'll go ahead and let me get us all tagged in now.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, for those of you that are joining us, it's been a minute since we've done these, but we try to do these on a monthly basis on different topics that we see that top producers are facing, or just real estate agents in general are facing throughout the United States. So today's topic is how to adapt in a rapidly changing market. And so with that said, what are some of the changes that you guys are seeing right off the bat? We've got, first I'll introduce you guys. We've got Jaybee Hawkins. She's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, top producer. And then Mr. Ruben Garcia, social media guru. He's an influencer within the EXP and also a top producer and has a top team as well. So welcome. Happy Wednesday. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having us, Micah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you guys are, what's interesting about this, we're all in different markets, right? But we're seeing the same changes. What are some of the changes that you're initially seeing in the real estate market?
Well, I would say for me, I've spent the better half of the last maybe 5 or 6 years really working expireds, and those are non-existent right now. So I've had to change my entire business model as far as getting listings. We're having to do things, kind of go back to the basics and do a lot of marketing. We are staying in close contact with our past clients. We're doing a lot of mailers. Hey, we've even gone back to door knocking. So whatever it takes, because in our situation, I have 3 agents on my team and we have a long list of buyers and no inventory. So rather than waiting for that inventory to show up, even when it does show up, then we've got our client in this crazy multiple offer situation, 20, 30, 40 offers. So we have done a really good job at being proactive and going and being very intentional in finding sellers that are looking to sell. And, sellers right now have a ton of equity. So just having a lot of those conversations.
That's awesome. And so you're not waiting for the fish to come to you. You're out proactively fishing, right? You're going after. And that's interesting because, a lot of sellers may not realize the amount of equity that they have right now, with the way that the prices have gone up. Ruben, what are you seeing in North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, same, right? Same. I think it's pretty much across the nation at this point. But I will say, they say hope is not a strategy, right? And to hope that the business is going to come to you is kind of a little cray-cray, right? So you have to go out there and hunt. I know for us, that's what we're doing. We're very much a database, as you know. We're a database people, so we just hit up our warm leads like over and over and over and over and over and over. And we're seeing results from that. Of course, I will say appointments have went down because of the market right now, and we're having buyers who are in the market and getting punched in the face like over and over and over and over and over to where they're just bowing out. So we've had that happen, and it might roll into our next conversation, once we move it to the next thing of other streams of income, because we've kind of set ourselves up for that as well. But database, man, that's what we've been doing. We've been hitting up our database. For example, let me just do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35.
Numbers.
40 number. 43 people today. We've reached out to 43 people today. So we've set 1 appointment so far. So we'll see what happens from that. But yeah, it's definitely a database game for us right now.
So when you say reach out, is that, calling, emailing, texting, all of the above, just different touches? What does that look like for you, Ruben?
I'll let you guess. What do you think it is?
It's a text. I know text. You. The audience might not know you.
Yeah, they're text messages. Yep, 100% text messages. And that's why I don't know how many appointments we'll set today, because it's not a phone call, right, to where we're going to set it now. We could have somebody who texts us later during the day after they get out of work, So we don't know what it's going to look like. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, great points, but it's all in the numbers, right? And I just saw Sarah and Melinda both said good morning. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, for those of you that just popped on, if you have any questions or, have any statements, please go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll try to throw it up and get to you as quick as we can. So please stay engaged and let us know what talking points or questions that you have. So with that said, we're seeing this, change in all of our markets. And as Ruben said, definitely across the nation. What are some of the things that you guys are teaching your teams as far as competitive advantages to get, inventory? Like you said, JB, you guys are going out door knocking and going back to the basics. But what about, offers for buyers and things like that to really separate yourself from the pack?
Yeah. So I think it's very important to make sure you're educated, because it's so different even a year ago what we're dealing with offers. There is no such thing right now as putting an offer in below asking. One of the first things that I teach my team to do is as soon as you know you're going to make an offer, call the listing agent. And I simply ask, what is it going to take? If we come in at asking price, what else is important to your seller? It could be closing date. It could be a variety of things. So I always make sure and have that very direct conversation with the listing agent to know what's important to their sellers. But we've got to really bring it in this market. You can't, closing cost does not exist. It's not existing right now. However, I do want to say, and Ruben, I don't know if you're feeling this in North Carolina, but over the past couple of weeks, I'm slowly feeling that shift. It's like let off. For instance, instead of 30 offers, now we're only getting 10 or 15. So
it's a little bit.
Yeah. So, I make sure in our team meeting, we're talking about how to present the offer, things that right now we're having to leave out in order to even be in the running. So just going over that over and over and making sure that you're reaching out to that listing agent and having a conversation, something to make you and your offer memorable.
Right. So you're trying to create that relationship with the listing agent. And what I hear from you is, really educating your buyers up front that, they've got to play the game as well. And so just kind of being prepared before it's time to even make that offer.
Yeah. And so this is something in 16 years I've never done. But if I've got let's just say I have a buyer qualified for 300,000. Mm-hmm. I'm not showing them houses that are 300,000. Because it's very hard to even get an offer at asking price. So we're looking 275, maybe 280. So I think it's important for agents to have that conversation up front, make sure they have the funds for closing costs plus their down payment, make sure that they're, educating them and letting them know from the get-go, this is what the market looks right now. Otherwise, we're going to go look at a lot of houses and we're going to put, 12, 13, 14 offers in, and we're not gonna get them. So just really educating the buyers up front on what the market looks like right now.
Yeah. No, great point. And Ruben, I don't know if you saw Sarah's questions. How are you getting all those phone numbers?
Yeah, I'll jump on that in 1 second because I wanted to say what JB said. Wherever she's at, she's on this side of my screen.
She's that way.
Oh, is she? Of course. So I did a Be More training with one of our agents, my top agent, the one I passed most of my deals to, and we did the 5 top things to avoid as a new agent, and one of those was communication. You have to communicate at a high level to the listing agents and to the buyer. So that's just jumps on JB's part of that part where you're reaching out and like, hey, what do we need to do? And because man, the worst thing you could do is get 10 offers and you see 5 of agents that are terrible at communication. Terrible, and it's not going to help your buyer, right? So you have to be that agent who's going to go above and beyond it and just talk and communicate. Communication is absolutely key. One of the things we do to separate ourselves is we leverage a lot of what EXP has. So they have a class called, or they have a class that teaches how to buy homes with cryptocurrency. So we bring that up, right? We're like, we don't limit the market. We got people, our people know how to work with people who have crypto to buy the homes. And so that's something new for them to hear, along with bringing up express offers that EXP has as well. And for us, because we're not taking as much, taking as many listings, we've upped our value as an agent on the listing side, but we've also upped our commission to kind of match that. So we're taking 8% listings right now. And what we're doing is we're putting 4.5 on the sell side, 3.5 on the buy side, because buyers agents are getting beat up pretty hard right now. Right. And, their commissions are like 2%, if not less. And so we're offering 3.5 for the buyer's agents. And of course, they're like, all right, move out of my way. They're like flooding to our listing, over the 2% that's in the same neighborhood. So that's obviously driving up prices as well. And we communicate that with the seller. So those are things that are separating us as well. We're leveraging EXP and some other stuff. And then also the higher commission splits for the buyer side. Is Sarah with EXP?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, Sarah, come to my class, EXP University. I teach about all of this stuff, and I'm doing it the last Wednesday of this month, I think. I don't know. It just DM me, and I'll let you know the real day and time. But these are all warm leads, right? So like I already know them in some facet. So these are zero cold leads. I'm not paying for any leads. I'm not trying to comb for phone numbers or anything like that. I already have the numbers. So it's easier. It's easier for me.
Right. And like I said, that's why when you text, you're getting the responses because they're warm. They're not cold leads, right? You're not just mass texting people that you don't know.
That's right. We get 2-to-1 conversions. So what did I say? 40-ish. So let's say we did 40 contact attempts. We'll have 20 people talk to us today.
That's awesome. And I see Melinda actually put a question here. What do you do when a buyer doesn't want to overbid? Because they say that they don't want to pay more than the home is worth. How are you guys handling that objection right now?
Well, I think right now that's part of, it used to be when we would say pre-qualifying a buyer would be, the lender side of it. I think right now pre-qualifying the buyer is setting the right expectations in the beginning and knowing that that's just part of it. If they're not willing, if they have to have their closing costs paid or they are not willing to do that. And what I teach my team is they're really not a qualified buyer in this market because they're going to get buyer fatigue. They're going to get frustrated. They could potentially get mad at the agent. We really work a lot on the front end to set those expectations in this market. That's just kind of my take on it.
I got something to that too. So dang, where was I got a second part, but I had a first part too. With that, and maybe it'll pop back up.
I like the jazz hands.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. But I will say, I'll just mention the second part, and maybe the first part pops up. But when we're talking to our buyers, they're like, "Yo, I'm pre-approved," and I'm like, "Fantastic." So let me just go over some of the other costs, right? Because we're having buyers who are pre-approved, but they still can't compete in this market, right? So I did this years ago when I was an agent, just to simplify things because. I'm not the smartest guy. So I built an acronym called HEADC, HEADC. And the C came from nowhere. I used to not have to bring up C, but now here we are. And that's why it's kind of thrown at the end. But H, home inspections, talk to them about the cost of that if they desire to do it. Earnest money, which is a thing in our state. Two sides of the A, which is appraisal, right? So you got appraisal fee, which is paying the appraiser to actually go out there and appraise the home. And then you got over appraisal value, right? So we already talk about that. We're like, yo, in this price point, we're seeing 5, 10, 15,000 over. And then D is due diligence, which is a big one in North Carolina right now, where the buyer has to pay the seller to take their home off the market to do their due diligence for 2 to 3 weeks. And that check gets written straight to the seller. And sellers, if they're represented by a good listing agent, they know. Right? They're like, yo, we're going to go big on the due diligence and we want because that's money up front for the seller.
Right.
That and then C, which was thrown at the end, is closing costs, which we used to get that covered from the seller, not anymore. So I go over that and I'm have them add it up. And then I'm like, do you think yes, you're pre-approved, but do you also have that approximate number ready to go? And if they're like, no, I don't, then I'm like, how long do you think it might take you? Because if you enter this field right now, almost guaranteed you won't get a home. You have to be prepared with this cash. So that's been a good conversation is head C. And then we'll set follow-ups depending if they're ready to go or if they're not ready to go and they need a few months to build up some cash.
That's awesome. Hey guys, if you are watching this right now and you love what you're hearing, please go ahead and like and comment, share on your Facebook page, because JB and Ruben are definitely dropping some great nuggets. So, we talked about how to adapt, with the market changes, with, having the competitive advantages with buyers and sellers, but let's now shift it to ourselves as the agent. Let's talk about long-term planning. I think a lot of times when we look at, business plans, agents are looking 6 months they're looking quarterly. They should be looking quarterly, 6 months, 12 months out, maybe 5 years. But what about above and beyond that? How can agents, and what are you guys doing to really create a long-term business plan beyond just yourself and your sales that you're getting today?
Well, the first thing I did was I joined the XP.
People think that's a smart move here on this call.
I've had commissions come in for sales for 17 years, and as I got older, I realized that you have to diversify, and so I invest in long-term rentals. I'm really getting into the short-term rental part. And then I have, a couple other streams of income just by restructuring my business with EXP. I'm not doing anything different. I'm still selling. I'm still doing the same thing I've done for 17 years. But with a different structure, it just allows me to have more opportunities for different, streams of income coming in.
So it's interesting that you say that with the short-term rentals. I think both JB and Ruben, you guys play the short-term rental game, whereas I'm more the long-term rentals. I've actually shifted my entire portfolio to more absolute net commercial deals because it's all about the time freedom, right, and the financial freedom. But can you both kind of touch on the short-term rentals? What has that done for you and your family?
Ruben, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, well, it was doing amazing until it becomes a great thing in our market, and investors start catching on, and investors start coming in from all over different states, and then it's set on Bigger Pockets podcasts, which just opens up even more of a flood to the market. So we're oversaturated in terms of short-term rentals right now. So we're actually lowering our daily rates. And so on another Be More training, I broke down the math on a home if they were both similar, if you ran short-term and if you ran long-term rental. And right now, we won't do another short-term rental. We're probably going to do a long-term rental. Yeah, because there's not as much capital up front, obviously. And you could make as much, if not a little bit more, because the market's so tight right now. People are moving to rentals, which is high demand, right? Low supply and demand, and rising the rental prices right now. So saying all that, short-term rentals have been great. It's just our daily rates at the moment, because of oversaturation and the market, it's doing great, but just it could do better.
Yeah.
I like that you're transparent, Ruben, because you've noticed that and you shifted. You're shifting and you've acknowledged that. Whereas I think other people would be like, it was doing great. What happened, right? But you're identifying how the market is changing.
That's right. Yeah, and that's why we bought an RV to rent out too, right? You could just you just know if you have like a pulse to the ground of what's happening in the market. During COVID, everybody wanted to just leave, right? And took all these RVs and travel campers or travel trailers. And I was like, why don't we capture that? So that's been doing really well for us. It is all about evolving, though, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with Ruben. I do think that with all the podcasts and TikToks and the things with short-term rentals, I do have two, and they do pretty well. What I've noticed and what I've been paying attention to in recent weeks is that if somebody's talking about a market, most likely that market is saturated right now. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of pointless to purchase. I do have two that do really well. I've got one here in Tulsa, and I've got one in Grand Lake. They're cash flowing. But I'm with Ruben. I don't know that I want to do long-term rentals. What we're researching right now is storage units. And so we're just kind of exploring our options with one, commercial buildings or storage units. But we also flip, and I think you guys do that too. And so that has still been a really good stream. They're definitely harder to find, but if you're willing to put the work to find off-market properties, that can be a good source to build capital to go invest in other places.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the key, right? To find off-market deals, and you've got to do a lot more work.
Yeah.
We purchased 3 restaurants last year, 2 of which are vacant, but we got them at a good deal, and it's the long-term play, right? It's to be able to increase and double the value over time. But we had to find off-market deals, and so it was not easy. I mean, I think I was looking at properties 12 hours a day for 3 months until I was about to pull my hair out of my head, and then we found what we were looking for. So it does take time, but that's where I think a lot of people get discouraged is, you can't just go out and look at what everybody else is. You've got to be a little bit more creative. And that goes back to the very beginning of this. You've got to get creative with sellers. You've got to get creative with your buyers and investments as well. So now we've talked about diversifying your business. You guys have, you're planning for the long term, right? You're letting your money work for you, which I think is one of the smartest things. Is as an entrepreneur, we have to have a relationship with money. We have to have that relationship where Ruben's holding his money, but in hindsight, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I got this commission check. Let's go buy this. Let's go buy the handbag, or let's go buy, go first class on this vacation, instead of thinking, what else can I invest in that's going to reap me the largest reward in the long term? And so that really leads me to my last topic here. And guys, again, if you're watching this and you have any more questions, please go ahead and chime in. But, multiple streams of income. We talked about, buyers and sellers. It's, you can't control those commission checks right now, right? Even the short-term investments, as Ruben made a great point, that market has changed as well. And I'm here to tell you, I don't have the crystal ball, but I do believe the market is going to shift even more the next 6 to 12 months. And so I think it's really important as real estate agents, we are preparing ourselves for that. We are diversifying our business. So beyond just investments, JB, you mentioned joining EXP. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. How has that changed your portfolio personally for both you, JB and Ruben?
Well, for me, it maximizes the dollars that I am making on commissions. That's the first reason I looked into EXP. Is I'm not doing any more work than I was before. I'm just under a different business model that's maximizing the money that I'm making because of the split. So that's number one. Number two is the revenue share. I love sharing EXP. It's one of my favorite things to do. I made a ton of mistakes my 16 years in real estate, and I want to tell people not to do that. So, and then just the company, it seems like every time I open my email, I've been giving more shares of the stock for one reason or another.
Don't you love those emails?
I'm like, oh, what did I do this time? Okay, let me click and see. So, that's just, I think the model, I think a lot of people don't understand how the model works. I tell people all the time, it's not, call it EXP, call it broker A or brokerage B or whatever. It's the model. And once you understand the model and how it works for you and your business, it's life changing. And people say that all the time, but in the past 14 months I've been with EXP, I'm keeping more of my commission. So are my team members. And I've got 2 other streams of income that are great. So
that's awesome. Well, I think, I agree with you. A lot of times we throw around the word life changing, and, outsiders looking in, they're like, how can a real estate brokerage be life changing? And I'm like, trust me, I've seen it over and over and over again. When you give agents the ability of equity ownership, right, which is through the stock, and then revenue share, we've been talking about diversifying. There's no better way of diversifying than having agents in different markets. I mean, Ruben, how many markets are you in?
I think we hit 17 states right now.
Wow. So if North Carolina, God forbid, crashes, you've got 16 other states to go, right?
We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
You're all right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Ruben, how has, I think you just hit your 3-year mark with EXP. So congratulations. JB's right at a little over a year, and Ruben, you're at 3 years. Yay, you're vested.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, I'm here for the long term, right? We were just talking about long-term play, so I didn't even think about the vested part. But you're right. I mean, you're right. So yeah, for us, it's been awesome. Kind of going back to a lot of what we've already talked about. At least what I have found is that the agents that seem to really get it are the ones who are investor mindseted, right? Like understand that this won't be let me put a sign in the yard today, sell it tomorrow, or a month from now. Let's just pretend sell it tomorrow, and then crap, I need to grab that sign and put it in another yard, right? And like they also say, well, man, what other ways can we maximize this whole real estate thing? And I think you're seeing a lot of obviously investor mindseted, long-term play people. I did a hashtag on Facebook. What was it? Long-term gang, right? Like the people I surround myself with are very long, like they're thinking long-term. And this model obviously helps with that. A lot of something or something else that we've done, especially I live near a military base where people PCS or move all across the nation all the time. A lot of the local firms and a lot of the franchises here miss out. Right? Like once they're gone, and almost guaranteed they're going to be gone. They're going to leave and go to a different state. Well, here, it's all good. You're still part of the team. Nothing changes, right? It's the same model. You're not going to run into a different standard of operating procedures or different leadership that has different caps, like different. Nothing changes. We just keep moving. We keep conquering. And because of that, obviously, the support is there to where we do get benefited through revenue share. Revenue share has been crazy good for us. Obviously, I come from a different company where profit share was a thing. And it's easy to see just how much more profitable revenue share is cut from the top. Just like from the company I came from, the franchise fees were cut from the top because they get it. They know it. They want it from the beginning. They're not going to rely on that office to be profitable. They don't care. They just want it from the top. And so for us, it's been awesome for that. Obviously, when our agent does close a deal, when they come over, their first deal, we get $400 worth of free stock. So that's been awesome too, obviously. But all we're doing, guys, like we're grabbing this cash, yes, but we're also deploying it almost immediately into another investment. And the reason, and this goes back to what we just talked about, is like, where's inflation? Almost 8% or something like that. So your money's dying. Cool revenue share, great, but it's dead, right? It's not even dead. It's like dissolving very quickly. And so you have to put it into an asset that kicks off 14, 15+% of a return, because that's where you have your money fight for you. So all this is yes, we get to support agents to live pretty cool lives. We get rewarded for it. We grab that cash and we put it towards investments to keep the cash flow coming, to support the agents, to get the revenue share, to grab it. So it's this big round thing that keeps happening. And again, being a long-term thing, the numbers just get bigger and bigger, and the lives that we impact get bigger and bigger. And that's just kind of the world we're in right now.
Well, I think that's a great point, is not only does it does help us, financially, but we get to impact, so many lives. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was telling my husband yesterday, I was like, I feel like this is what retirement feels like. I work because I want to, not because I have to. And it's because I want to make a bigger impact. And so I think that's incredibly important. And, I know Sarah just mentioned EXP is more like a family than a brokerage. I saw Glenn Sanford, I think he put on Twitter, maybe last week, talking about culture. A lot of real estate brokerages cling on the fact of culture, but our culture is the opportunity and the compensation model, right? When you give the ownership and the ability to have life-changing, opportunities, that's the culture, right? Yes. And so we develop our own culture, which I think is really important. So with that said, we've talked about, helping the buyers and sellers. We talked about our long-term investments, and then of course, diversifying through multiple streams of income. Is there any kind of last words as we're seeing these market changes that you want to throw out there for agents that may be watching?
Sarah asked, is there any other method to find off-market deals other than EDDM? I have no idea what that is. If somebody else tell me.
I don't either.
What is it? Oh, okay. Sarah, type it what EDDM is. And cold calling and reaching out to other realtors that do a lot of I like that you even said reach out to other real estate agents. So what we've done our last 2 deals or 2 or 3 deals were off market. And the way that we find those, drum roll please, how do you think? Database, right? Like all we're doing is hitting, it's a crazy database play. That's all we do. And so if we want something within our database, we ask for it. These are people that we already know. And we'll set a follow-up, like we'll ask, so Airbnb, we push that every 6 months. RV, we push that every 9 months. Talent search, we do that every 9 months. When it comes to like asking for off-market properties, we're going to do that every 6 to 9 months as well. Like, hey, just who do you know in your family or friends that are looking to sell their homes, but really not necessarily looking for an agent to do it for them, right? Mm-hmm. So you just got to ask. And if you do that repeatedly, right, consistency compounds, and you will be able to get some of those leads that come in just from your own circle of influence, and then hacking their circle of influence to see who they know that may have an off-market deal. And work with wholesalers. Wholesalers are amazing. We love wholesalers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, both of those.
And for those of you like who are not using a database, maybe you've never set your business up that way. I do have a database. I don't think I work it to the level that Ruben does, but that's definitely a lesson learned. Like, obviously winning at that.
I teach the class.
I know. I have to go. But I will tell you, anybody like your friends, your family, your dentist, your doctor, like everybody that you know, I feel like should go in your database. Every time you meet somebody at an open house, they should go in your database. All the moms at your kids' soccer, they should go in your database. And with the XP, that's one of the free resources they give you. If you have this database and you can set all this up. So I feel like that when people know how to work it, it can be so valuable to your business.
Right. And oh, sorry, Ruben, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we sold an old couch on Facebook yard sale from one of our Airbnbs. I don't know, Monday. And the people who came and picked it up, you better believe I got their number, put them into my database, right? Like it's what JB said. It's literally everybody who enters your world ever, right? That's the people who go into your database, 100%.
And I used to teach a class at the previous brokerage that I was with about database. If you don't have one, it can seem very overwhelming. Sit down 30 minutes a day, add 10 to 15 people. Do it every day. A year later, you've got this big, beautiful database, and you can run your business. It's great.
And it's going to compound, right? It will compound over time. I think that's the key. And even I was in Orlando at a doctor's appointment last week, and you better bet I got the nurse's information because she wants to sell her home. And then I passed it off to a friend of mine that sells in Orlando. So anybody that you come in contact with. But I want to even kind of piggyback on what you both said. For me in commercial, one of the ways that I got my deals was I started calling vacant properties that were available for lease, started calling the owners and just asked, obviously a lot of restaurants and things are not leasing right now, and asked if they'd be willing to sell. And so just making offers that way, that was one of the ways that we were able to acquire a couple of our properties. So with that said, I hope this was valuable to you guys. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, JB and Ruben, for your time today. If you guys have any topic ideas, like I said, we try to, get these going every single month. If you have any topic ideas, please either reach out to us directly or go ahead and comment on them below, and we will definitely do our best to get to them. Guys, real estate agents, guys and gals, please make sure that you're paying attention to the market. The market has been incredibly hot. It's been incredibly great and good over the last 24 months. But, my personal crystal ball is saying things are going to change the next 6 to 12 months. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how we diversify our businesses, JB, Ruben, what is the best way to reach out to you guys?
You can reach me out on my Facebook, Jaybee Hawkins, or I'll put my number out there. You guys text me, 918-404-1416.
Brave. I know you ladies get a lot of I know you ladies get a lot of creepers out there. So as like a protective guy, I'm like, don't do it. Don't put your number out. But it's all good. We're all real estate agents, so the number's going to be out there anyways. For me, I hope I'm doing it right. Proven by Ruben. Just put that in anywhere, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, it doesn't matter. I'm there. So yeah, just reach out. Oh, Twitter. I've been kind of jumping on Twitter a lot more lately. So anyways, hit me up on any one of those platforms. I'll be able to answer any questions you got.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And we can't wait for the next one. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye. Woo-woo.